The views expressed in this episode are the opinions of the cast members and do not represent the views of the United States Navy or the United States government.
Shipmate, you're late.
Hey.
To our last night ashore, drink to the foam. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this episode of What the Navy, Season 2, Episode 2. We hope you enjoyed the two-parter version of the series with Chief Warrant Officer Niebauer. Unfortunately, he was not able to join us today due to other operational commitments. Because the way I was understood, Chief, that Warrant and Master Chief both had a relationship at some point where they worked together at some point. Is that correct? You are muted, so one on you.
Well, I believe so.
Well, unfortunately, we don't get Warrant Officer Niebauer this time. Hopefully, next episode when we do our next topic. Stay tuned to find out that episode. Welcome, Master Chief Kraft.
Afternoon, shipmates. How are you?
Good afternoon,
Master
shipmate.
Chief.
How you doing?
Sorry, I literally just walked into my house, so I'm gonna step out here on my lanai. How are y'all?
Excellent. How about you, Master Chief?
Pretty good.
I am living the dream. Are you serious? Come on. I have not
see
seen
you
you in
got
forever, but talking to you. How are you doing?
Pretty good, Master Chief. How about yourself?
I miss you.
No, you don't.
You ready to come back to N7 so I can, finish a little bit of mentorship with you?
I mean, I'm more than willing to come visit you. I'll be down island tomorrow.
We'll make you a chief before you know it.
So I didn't know y'all had history.
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh yeah, I've known him for a little bit. Don't ask. It's all good.
It was all wonderful. It was a great experience.
It's all good. He is a good sailor that has a lot of potential, that is going to realize it, and he's going to reach it. I'm super stoked.
Glad somebody has confidence in me. Thank you, Master Chief.
Yeah, no worries.
Fair.
So, Master Chief, when in preparation for this, I asked you last week if you would be able to participate in this, and
what did I tell you? My topic was going to be shipmate. What did I tell you?
I'm getting there.
Shipmatery.
I'm getting there, right? So
my favorite topic
I love
so
it.
far.
So I said,
he already knows me well enough.
I said we would be more than happy to hear, what Master Chief Kraft has to say, his opinions about heritage and tradition. And just like you responded that way, it was a quick boom, got it. This is something that I do, and I've known Master Chief Kraft for a little over 2 years now, about 2 years and 1 month, and so that was kind of it. Master Chief Kraft immediately responded with, "Got it. This is what I do," and that's always been the aura. That's always been the kind of presence that I've known. Because I haven't known Master Chief Kraft all my Navy career, right? I've known him for 2 years, and can't lie, can't front. Everything that comes out of his mouth is wisdom. So it only makes sense that that's how it's going to be within the people, within the sailors that he's closest to, right? So, but at the same time, I was thinking about, this is the Master Chief Kraft that I know. Is this the Master Chief? Has Master Chief Kraft always been this type of person? Because when I think of Master Chief Kraft, I think of I'm a legend throughout the CTI community, even though I don't, I'm not too familiar with the CTI community. I can only imagine, a legend at this command or in Maryland, so on and so forth. But, I didn't know him before that. So definitely want to explore that too. And then also get his opinions about heritage and tradition. And it sounded like you already got something.
Good shipmatery, buddy. We'll make a t-shirt at the end of this. So what do I do? Do I just roll into it?
Yep. Actually, the most format I will allow in this show is the intro, and that's it. The rest of it is all unscripted. That's the way I like it.
I am so worried that you are the one that is like the choreographer and videographer, and you get final say-so. Battaglia, I always saw potential in you, and that's kind of a lie. There's the knife hand. You like that? But no, seriously. Where do I start? It was kind of funny. Chief Peavy hit me up this morning just to remind me because I'm acting CMC this week. I'm wearing a couple of hats. And I drove to work. And instead of going right to 324 to do CMC duties, I went to Fort Island. And I have a spot at Fort Island that I really like going to. I drive to the USS Utah Memorial, and I'll sit there and I'll have a cigarette. And I just kind of think about things. Sometimes it's life, sometimes it's work, sometimes it's Master Chief, whatever it is. Sometimes I literally just sit there and I am awed. If you went into the old Chief's mess in 324 on the second deck, it's kind of cheesy, but it is a little plaque for Peter Tomish. So Chief Tomish has been my hero since I was an E5. When I read his story, I was dumbfounded. He was on a training ship that was designed to take torpedo hits for other aviators and ships and submarines to practice shooting torpedoes at. And I think about that and I'm like, I didn't join the Navy to get shot at. that makes no sense. Like, you're gonna shoot a dummy warhead at me. Well, I want to see that in triplicate. I want to make sure there's no explosives in there. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And yet that was his job. And he was a boiler tech, and he worked down in engineering spaces, ungrateful snipe work. If you've ever been underway, the way we feel about egg hangers and snipes. That is really, truly, Neptune's work. King Neptune says, thou shalt get the ship underway, and they're the ones who make it happen. And to know that you're on a ship that's designed to get hit with weapons routinely, I don't even know how you go to work, right? Like, what wakes you up and you're like, you know what, we're gonna get shot by a couple torpedoes today. That's a great idea. No, I'm not that guy. I want to wake up. I want to go to work. I want coffee, and I want cupcakes, and I want happiness, and oh my God. And then on December 7th, 1941, they got hit with a real torpedo. And that chief, that man, kicked everybody out of the boiler room. He made sure his entire crew, all of the sailors, were out so that he would be the one to ensure that the ship was going to be saved by making all of the equipment turn off. Wow. So when I think of the word selfless, I think of the word Tomish. I think about that a lot. And every time I drive there, what would I do? And when I was N3, I was N3 SCL a couple of years ago. And I remember Petty Officer Martinez. He was on a ship in a collision in a berthing space that was flooding. And the only reason he got out were the sailors around him. And that drives me to work. Peter Tomish, CTI1 Martinez. I can give you a lot of names. How do you do that? How do you make that selfless act that saves others' lives? Training. There is an inherent character trait, I can't put a word on it, where you are so selfless that you'll put people in front of you. Man, You know, if you come to N7 or if you've ever been to any of the quarters I've ran, it didn't matter where I've been, 28 and a half years. I say the same things at quarters every time. And probably the second most influential person in my career was my A school instructor. He retired as a Master Chief. His name is Master Chief Thomas Sink. He was on the USS Stark when it got hit by 2 Iraqi Exocet missiles. I believe there were 39 sailors that were killed. And he just went to work that day. You know, he racked out, showered, got his chow in the line, and, you know, just sitting there doing his job. And boom, 2 missiles hit. Wow. And that ship was saved by sailors. And it doesn't matter what stories we go through. We can talk about Mason. We can talk about the Fitzgerald. We can talk about all of these. The Bonhomme Richard, you know, where sailors from other ships are leaving their piers, running to go firefight and relieve the nozzleman. Wow. How awesome is that? To run into adversity and come out on the other side. The only term I have is good shipmatery. And I always talk about it. And at quarters, at the end of the quarters, I always say, everybody look left. And then everybody look right. Those are the people you're going to war with. And I often wonder what that means to the sailor who receives those words. Because I know what war feels like. My whole career was Fifth Fleet. I've been at war since 1992. You know, coming here was a reprieve. I'm like, thank you very much, Pacific Fleet. I love the ocean, it's great, but it's just different. And I have serious concerns as a leader, as a mentor, as a Master Chief. Are these sailors prepared to look left, to look right, and say, I'm going to war with you? Because sometimes I wonder, do they see color? Do they see sexual preference? Do they see, and, you know, insert all of those semio categories? I know for me, I don't. The only thing I demand of a sailor, and it's kind of summarized by what I finish up with, is those are the people you're going to war with. You have to trust them to have your back. That's all I care about. Can you do your job? You do your job and everybody will be okay. And I'm not positive that happens all the time. I think they look left and they're like, oh, you're not the same as me. And that concerns me. Because as warfighters, as defenders of this nation, and as sailors, you know, here we are, an island in the middle of the Pacific. Who really has family here? Very few people. You have to look left and look right. That's your family. And it doesn't matter what they look like. It doesn't matter what God they believe in. It doesn't matter what their sexual preference is. Who cares? Are you going to have my back when the time comes? Are you going to be, you know, Chief Peter Tomich and kick everybody out of the boiler space and secure them and die saving their lives? Oh my God. I worry. And then I see people like Petty Martinez. And he survived. He survived because of the sailors around him. And that was really weird when I heard that from him. Like, I wouldn't have gotten out of that space if they wouldn't have pulled me or pushed me. And he was one of the last people through the scuttle before they secured it. And the sailors behind them drowned. Wow. Is that good shipmatery? I rationalize it that it was. Because they had to save everybody else. They had to save the ship. And that's not a position I ever want to be in. But when I go to work, Like I said, I normally start my day off at the USS Utah Memorial. I go over there and I look at it and I'm like, that dude is somebody I don't know how to be. I aspire and I am driven to be Peter Tomich. That when the time comes, I can make the right decision and I can be a good shipmate. But that comes through training. That comes through hard work. That comes from learning lessons the hardest ways. My career has been unique. I have no idea how I ever made chief, much less master chief. I call it, grace of good luck. And I mentioned my mentor, Master Chief Tom Sink. And when I was a senior chief, I remember him coming to me and going, why are you working 18-hour days? I said, well, it needs to get done. Tom, this is the way it is. He's like, you're the SEL of the largest topi at Fort Gordon. You're the DASWO. You're the KCO. You're the funeral honors coordinator. Blah, 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 blah. Insert everything. I was working 18-hour days. He's like, when do you spend time on Mike? I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about right now. And he goes, no. Do you have time for your family? I said, yeah, I make time for them. He's like, after 18 hours? Yeah, I find time. He's like, what about you? And bro, oh my God. That's like, if I could define good shipmatery, it's, yes, looking left and looking right. But somewhere when you traverse from left to right, you have to look in the middle. And I like to think there's a mirror there. And what am I doing for me today? I did nothing for me today. On a completely honest, real level, I woke up at 4 a.m. I've been working since 4 a.m. I'm still in uniform. Yes, I'm at my house. Look how beautiful my view is. Yes, Carolina, Diamond Head. But at the end of the day, I just put in a 12-hour day and I didn't do anything for me or my family yet. Is that good shipmatery? I don't know. At some point, maybe I'll make dinner for them, or I'll sit down and my daughter and I'll have a conversation, or whatever it happens to be. But part of being a good shipmate, it has to start with taking care of yourself. I had to call the chaplain today a couple of times about a couple of sailors, and that's okay, because those sailors don't know how to take care of themselves yet. So when we forward this conversation that good shipmatery, it starts with you. So are you ready to do your job? Are you the most enabled, most trained, most ready, most well prepared? I don't know. And that is going to change between Sailor X through Sailor A. But if you're not training to be Peter Tomich, then what are you doing? For me, that's why I use that term, Peter Tomich. He sacrificed his own life to save his sailors. How many others of us out there are ready to do that? I don't know that answer. And I'd hazard a guess, it's not where I want it to be. I'd like it to be, 100%. But why do we go to work? When you start your day off, what's the first thing you think of? I start my day off. I happen to be a religious man. I start my day off with religion. And then I take care of my family. I take care of my dogs. And then I take care of sailors. I come home. I take care of my dogs. I take care of my family. And maybe somewhere in the day, I find a few moments to give myself a little bit of good shipmatery. And that's a pitfall that I have found in great leaders over 28 years, that we fail to take care of ourselves. And how can you be there for your wife, your husband, your kids, your dogs, your sailors, if you're not there for yourself. And it's awful. It's 9:30 at night. All I want to do is Netflix binge. I'm not going to lie. I want to watch some zombies. I want an axe to the head. I just want, just to relax. But where did I take care of myself during the day? That's why I start my day off immediately with the way I know to take care of myself the best. And I don't care what that is for you. Take care of yourself in the beginning of the day, and you can be a good shipmate. Being a good shipmate is the worst because most of the time being a good shipmate is not fun, it's not friendly, and it's not welcoming. Because how often, it's super easy to walk through the P-way and be like, what up, shipmate? Good to see you. Nice haircut. Yeah. Nice boots. That doesn't happen a lot. What we end up doing is going, shipmate, you need a fucking haircut. You need to shave that mustache, and you need to shine your goddamn boots. That's kind of what we do.
That sounds oddly specific, Master Chief.
Oh, sorry,
That sounds oddly specific.
I'm not looking at your mustache. Yeah. I'm not looking at your mustache at all. But that's the dilemma that we really run into, is that tough love is good shipmatery. That tough love of, I know they're NWUs, but seriously, there's a thing called an iron. There's a thing called steam on your dryer. Please, can you wash your uniform? Can we start there? And we built from that. One of my other mentors, Kai Simpson, Master Chief Kai Simpson, man, he was a if you ever knew Master Chief Simpson, you know what I'm saying. He used to chew me out so much because I thought I arrived. I'm like, man, I'm a Master Chief. Yo, you see this? Look at that. 2 stars, look at that. Boom, I'm a Master Chief. You can't tell me what to do. Oh, that dude schooled me. So old school, I loved it. And he made me grow. That was good shipmatery. He would hold me accountable. Shipmate, it is 7:31. Why weren't you at work at 6:30? What? I have an extra cup of coffee. I walked my dog a little bit more. He's like, 6:30. You're there first or not? How are you going to hold your sailors accountable if you don't have a haircut, a shave, shine boots, and they're early? Who are you? And he used to say it all the time. Who are you to tell me what to do if you don't walk the walk? I remember it was probably the 3rd time he chewed me out, and I wanted to hurt him, but he's a much stronger, physically adept individual than I am, so I would have lost. But that's okay. I'm from Jersey. I'm used to losing fights. And I looked at him and I said, thank you. And he didn't know what to say. I was like, oh, snaps. How did I win this battle against the most physically? Oh my God, this dude scared the. How did I win? Good shipmatery. When I realized what he was teaching me was relevant and important, I went from there. So one of the last pieces of good shipmatery comes down to 2 terms. And if you make chief, I'm going to write a couple things in your charge book. That's a tradition, it's heritage, it's history. And all I do, I laugh every time I sign a charge book. I just signed a charge book like a week ago. I love that chiefs still bring me their charge books for me to impart wisdom on them. And none of it is mine. I love it. It's all wisdom that I've accrued over years. The first thing I'll write in your book, this is going to sound weird because most chiefs don't share what they share in a charge book, but I have no problems with it. On the top of your page, I'm going to write 3 things. I'm going to write faith, I'm going to write family, and then I'm going to write duty. Faith, family, duty. If you keep your priorities right, if you fly straight, you'll be good to go. And you will be able to take care of your sailors underneath you and yourself. Faith, family, duty. Don't ever mix those up. I was asked why I never went CMC numerous times. CMC messes my 3 priorities up. And when duty is going to come in front of my family, I've got a privilege, right? 2 stars. I get to be the Master Chief. I get the paycheck. It's all good. But I'm going to make my family my priority. I'm going to make sure God comes first. For me, that's important. One person gets to judge me. Only one. It's the only one that matters. And then I got my wife. And then I got my kids. And then I got all of these sailors that, boy, I can't tell you, I go to work so amped, just ready to give some good shipmatery. And Battaglio will tell you, anybody who's been in 7, you've probably heard my voice. It's very distinct, it's very loud, and it's very honest, right? That takes me to the second thing I'll tell you about good shipmatery. I'll write it in your charge book. Communication is a dish best served open, honest, and direct. I will tell you when you are screwing up at a high rate of speed. I'm going to look you dead straight in the eye and I'm going to tell you. If I can't look you in the eye, I'm going to call you. You probably will never get an email from me that says you suck, because I don't believe in that. To me, that is spineless leadership to keep things clean. Every sailor deserves to hear what they're not doing right, what they're not doing correct, and what they can do to get better. And if you hear it, it's up to that individual sailor to make that decision. That's the hardest part as a leader, right? Is trying to give people the gift of, this is how you're going to do something correctly. This is how you can get there. But it's up to them to choose it, not me. They have to make that decision.
All right, everyone, and that concludes our part 1 of this segment. Stay tuned for the next part, and yeah, keep watching.
Thank you for watching this week's episode. Please give us a like and subscribe and hit the notification button so you can catch all our episodes as they're uploaded or when we do it live.
If you would like to be a part of the show and have a topic that you would like covered, please email us at whatthenavy@gmail.com or leave us a comment below. Thank you for watching this episode of What the Navy.